Ladies and gentlemen, I do not wish to say more than that. It is now my pleasure to ask our leader, the President of the Republic of Kenya, to make his remarks and speak to the nation. Mr. President, sir.
Asante sana. Asante sana. Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, distinguished guests, my fellow Kenyans, and indeed all friends of Kenya, I'm happy to join you today in celebrating Kenya's 51st Jamhuri Day, and I take this opportunity to thank you all for finding the time and making the effort to be here at this venue or attending the ceremony from your home. On our progress as we survey our nation's prospects. Today we remember the long, painful struggle for our freedom. Our determination in this difficult journey set us free. Free to chart our own destiny, free to conquer poverty, illiteracy, sickness, and hunger. We also reflect on the mandate that came with our sovereignty and the obligations which accompanied freedom. Without a doubt, our founding fathers' victory was not meaningless. Our sovereignty is a priceless legacy and a trust we must honor for ourselves and indeed for future generations. After independence, earlier generations grappled with the mandates which typically confront pioneers. Freedom is precious, and managing it a perpetual responsibility. While contending, we realized that our pioneering charter fell far behind the dynamic needs of a fast-growing nation and a dynamic people. 4 years ago, the people of Kenya reimagined our republic when we gave ourselves a new constitution. Our nation's rebirth produced legal and socio-political innovations that have changed and will change this country for good. Our Bill of Rights proceeds beyond the natural and standard fundamental rights to recognize rights to equality, affirmative action, food, clean water, health care, and equal opportunity. Last year, the people of Kenya graciously honored us by choosing the Jubilee Alliance to form the first government of our second republic. We therefore became the inaugural administration vested with leading a second generation of pioneers to implement a new dispensation. I am deeply conscious of the immense responsibility which comes with pioneering leadership for a new dispensation. When I took office as your president, my government, whose vision is inspired by the Constitution, embarked on a systematic program to transform Kenya. Our transformative agenda is aimed at achieving inclusive growth through equitable development for every Kenyan in every part of Kenya. From the start, therefore, I have been keen to ensure that critical government programs are dedicated to realize the promise of the Second Republic. Fellow Kenyans, devolution is a key pillar of shared prosperity and national transformation. As a nation, we have worked hard to implement devolution, and our efforts are being rewarded with success. In fact, the main fear of our detractors is for the devolution to succeed. This fear is real because devolution is working. Every part of Kenya is now invigorated with the revolution of devolution. Others fear that devolution will not succeed. This fear is misplaced. The will of the people is irresistible. Devolution is here for good. My government appreciates that devolution is a vehicle for national transformation and shared prosperity. For this reason, we will continue to increase the allocation to county governments. This was more, and our focus was successful service delivery by devolved units. We as a government are committed to shared prosperity through devolution. My dear brothers and sisters, scarcity of opportunity lies at the root of many challenges facing our nation. Although our economy has grown and diversified, it cannot provide all the jobs and opportunities that many Kenyans need. Only an expanded economy operating within a just and equitable context can do that. Accelerated economic growth, therefore, lies at the heart of our vision to empower the people. This is the basis of my government's commitment to transform Kenya. Shared prosperity is the soul of this commitment. We believe that this is the only way to go, and my government's transformational agenda is therefore unstoppable. My government seeks to enable everybody in this country to contribute to national development, and that everybody similarly benefits from it. Previously marginalized areas of Kenya, as well as traditionally vulnerable and neglected groups, are now integral to our growth. Women, the youth, the disabled, and minorities are the stones that the builders rejected. Facilities like Uwezo Fund are empowering these groups to successfully engage in economic activity. This fund, as well as the Youth and Women's Enterprise Fund, are the stepping stones to economic opportunities. My government has complemented them with affirmative policies to facilitate preferential access by these groups to procurement opportunities in government and public institutions. Programs of this kind provide platforms and instruments to raise the weak and to propel them into mainstream business activity. My government intends to spread inclusive development to every activity in every sector of our economy. With our eyes firmly focused on the future, we have supplemented youth empowerment through a reformed and expanded National Youth Service. The aim is to admit more young Kenyans and impart a rich variety of relevant skills. Through the service, the youth are already making tremendous impact in the lives of Kenyans. They are playing a central role in efforts to ensure that residents of informal settlements enjoy their share of our prosperity. Starting with Kibera, my government is collaborating with various institutions, including the private sector and the county government, to deliver a dignified, clean, and safe living environment. Treated water, safe electricity connection, sanitation are some of the amenities that this collaboration has taken to Kibera. Other services that extend development to the area are subsidized food, support for urban agriculture, street lighting, model housing, and vocational training programs. More vulnerable communities will soon begin to receive similar attention from my government. In speaking about vulnerable groups, we must not forget those Kenyans who have been uprooted from their homes by conflict and insecurity. My government remains committed to ensuring that these Kenyans, especially those who have been displaced, are never let down. Fellow Kenyans, no nation can achieve its true potential without food security. As pledged in our agenda, my government has commenced the irrigation of 1,000 acres of land in Galana Kulalu for food production. Upon completion, we will not have only banished famine from our land, we will begin to feed our region and the continent. For over a year now, we have also been supporting our farmers with affordable, quality seed and fertilizer. Healthy families and communities are a critical priority of our agenda. That is why we have implemented a program to extend antenatal delivery and postnatal care for both mother and children free of charge throughout the country. Additionally, primary health care services are provided free of charge in all public health facilities. For the elderly and the disabled, we have a subsidized health insurance coverage as well. It is a tragic double blow when a Kenyan succumbs to disease owing to the cost of treatment, because he or she will have died of both sickness and poverty. My government is dedicated to eliminating this kind of vulnerability to enable our people lead productive lives. The whole range of our efforts to transform the health sector is vast. For instance, we are equipping at least 2 hospitals in every county with modern diagnostic equipment. This will enable patients obtain affordable treatment for kidney, heart disease, as well as cancer and reproductive conditions, which are currently too costly and inaccessible. We will also build a new referral hospital in every county. I can think of no better way to underscore the impact of my government's health sector programs and the Beyond Zero campaign, the campaign which has been admirably led by the First Lady and has earned local and international recognition for successful efforts to reduce child and maternal deaths. Today, I join all Kenyans and other well-wishers in saluting and appreciating her tireless efforts and sacrifices. Pongezi mama. Yeah. Regarding education, my government is expanding our universities and tertiary institutions to teach more Kenyans. Our teaching curricula are also being reviewed to keep them relevant, competitive, and aligned to the needs of a highly globalized work environment. I am also happy to announce that by April 2015, all primary schools in the country will be connected to electricity and therefore ready for computer-based learning. My government has sustained free compulsory primary education, which significantly raised our nation's literacy standards. Proceeding from this historic milestone, my government has embarked on providing free-day secondary education. Ultimately, this program will ensure that no Kenyan student is locked out of education opportunities. Education is a weapon against poverty. When a young person drops out of school, the war on poverty is lost. My government is determined to develop high-quality human resources and the empowerment of young people in their millions. All of our 39 universities are collaborating with industry to align training with our market needs. We are focusing on our regional and continental leadership role as a hub for education, innovation, trade, and services. My vision for the young people of this country is for them to dominate pioneering areas of the knowledge economy, especially science and technology. Ladies and gentlemen, the cost of living has been a significant challenge to our growth ambitions. When families spend large portions of their incomes on basic needs, they have little to save and invest. The cost of producing goods and services is a huge component of the high cost of living. Managing the cost of living unlocks wealth for families all over the country to improve their economic condition. Transport and energy costs form an overwhelming portion of the price of goods and services. My government is doing something radical to bring down the cost of living. This year alone, we added 280 megawatts to the national grid, reducing the cost of electricity by 30%. These are only the first fruits of our ambition to generate 5,000 megawatts of power, which will drastically reduce the cost of energy for domestic and commercial use. Schools, businesses, and hospitals and homes require electricity. With affordable energy, Kenya will unleash productivity and innovation to drive rapid economic growth. My government is also working under domestic and regional frameworks to develop infrastructure for the movement of petroleum across our country and region. With cheap electricity, our people will be free to wage war and win freedom from poverty, illiteracy, and sickness. Through intensive investment in energy infrastructure, therefore, we are powering our freedom. Our manufacturers are now assured of producing goods more cheaply. And I want to remind them that this cost reduction is due to the investments by taxpayers who, like any other investors, are looking forward to a return. I call on manufacturers to pass the savings on the cost of electricity to consumers by reducing the price of basic goods. Equally, transport costs contribute significantly to the price of goods and services, and therefore the cost of living. To reduce it, a fast, high-capacity transport network is necessary. The construction of the standard gauge railway line has begun. Early next year, I will also lay the foundation stone for the 3 new berths in Lamu for the Northern Corridor Infrastructure Network. This infrastructure will open up northern Kenya and transform it into a highly competitive hub for industrial and agricultural production. Moreover, the construction of 10,000 kilometers of additional tarmac roads will soon begin in the new year. All infrastructure projects are inevitably accompanied by employment opportunities for thousands of young Kenyans. Moreover, the transformation of our rural counties and towns has gathered momentum. Through street lighting and enhanced surveillance technology, we will enable urban areas to run 24-hour economies. Fellow Kenyans, without a doubt, the foundation of our prosperity and development activity is security. Without security, our nation is compromised and our economy vulnerable. It is critical for us to recognize that under my government, incidences of basic law and order crimes have continued to reduce. Our average figures conform with international average trends. Unfortunately, this achievement has been reversed by the rising threat of terrorism perpetrated by outside criminal groups. As a result, over the past year or so, we have experienced serious terrorist attacks which have left hundreds of Kenyans dead and an almost equal number injured. Despite these attacks, we are undeterred and remain steadfast in our commitment to the war on terrorism. Insecurity in our country has both local and international dimensions. The global war on terror forced Al-Qaeda and affiliates to seek havens for training and opportunities for illegal economic activity. Unfortunately, they found refuge in Somalia, a vulnerable host with which Kenya shares a long border. Extremism and radicalization further brought the global threat of terrorism closer home. We now have an international war at Kenya's doorstep. I remind all our international partners that Kenya is fighting a proxy war on behalf of all nations and peoples who embrace freedom and democracy. For this reason, we deserve and expect support, solidarity, and a more robust engagement in connection with our fight against terrorism. Against this background, it is clear that our security system requires enhancement to confront the twin challenges of domestic and international security threats. An international war is happening in and outside Kenya's borders. We are also confronting highly trained and dangerously armed combatants embedded in our communities. These are not ordinary times, nor are they ordinary challenges. Our security apparatus must be effective in managing the emerging security paradigm. We have reflected profoundly and interrogated the adequacy of our laws and security institutions in meeting new security demands. Our conclusion is that Kenya must enhance its ability to detect, monitor, and eliminate security threats. It must also possess forensic capacity to successfully prosecute terrorists. My government has therefore embarked on a large-scale, institutional, and long-term strategy to raise our national security to international standards. We have already delivered our pledge to expand the recruitment and improve training and welfare of our security personnel. Similarly, we have invested in equipment and vehicles, as well as other technology required by our security agencies to tackle insecurity. Just yesterday, I witnessed the inauguration of the first phase of the Command and Control Center, which extends surveillance technology to urban and vulnerable areas to improve security. My government has also instituted border control and de-radicalization strategies. I have said before and I repeat that every Kenyan has a part to play in efforts to enhance the peace and safety of our communities. There are innumerable instances where the best security measures are in the hands of ordinary citizens. My government has a master plan to eradicate security challenges, including small arms trafficking in vulnerable communities, especially in northern Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we are deploying our transformative agenda to tackle our main challenges of illiteracy, disease, poverty, and hunger. Our commitment is pervasive and our efforts are robust. We want to touch every heart, everywhere, and shed the light of prosperity upon all our people, all our homes, all our communities, and in all our counties of Kenya. Yesterday, our parliament sat to align our laws with the country's security needs, as well as the standards expected by the Constitution. Without creating a new law, we rationalized existing legislation to enable the country meet the challenges of our time. In conducting this urgently, necessary processes and no freedoms are being curtailed. And I want to repeat that. No freedoms are being curtailed unless, of course, you're a terrorist yourself. No part of our Constitution has been violated. Indeed, by enhancing the assurance of our right to security of life and property, my government is trying to enrich our freedoms. Our Constitution has not been undermined in any shape or form. Let me also further state that corruption is a major catalyst of insecurity. It compromises secure systems. Corruption is deadly, and it is time for all of us, as patriots and citizens, to agree that corruption is one of our deadliest enemies, and we must all join hands to fight it ruthlessly. We must put the shame of corruption behind us and do justice to our new republic by entrenching value-based governance. The security of our people, wealth creation, and national transformation are easily sabotaged by corruption. Let us all join hands to fight insecurity and corruption with equal determination. Fellow Kenyans, we have lost many innocent lives to insecurity. Businesses continue to suffer because of fear of terrorist attacks in areas considered vulnerable. We have lost hundreds of gallant and patriotic young Kenyans as our security services put themselves in the front line against our existential hazards. We cannot repay our men and women in uniform for their noble sacrifices. Let us therefore demonstrate our gratitude and appreciation by extending moral support and doing our part to keep our country safe. Always remember that as you go about your normal life, somebody's child is confronting mortal danger on your behalf and often out of your sight. Yet even as we take a determined stand, committed to winning against all odds, our saboteurs wish us ill and plot our destruction. There are legion malevolent interests doing everything they can to defile our freedom by undermining Kenya's security and sovereignty. These sinister outsiders seek to frighten, torment, and divide us. Conflict has undermined national unity for decades in Kenya. My government made an irrevocable pledge to reconcile and unite various communities which have been involved in conflict at some point or another. We have worked hard to realize these objectives. I am convinced that the International Criminal Court is a real threat to our country's hope for reconciliation and lasting national stability. It offers no clear promise of justice for the victims of post-election violence, which traumatized this country a few years ago. Its strategy disregards its founding principles and humanitarian imperatives in favor of external agenda. I want to take this opportunity to thank the people of this great nation for their unwavering support and prayers, which sustained me as I awaited my vindication. I ask you all to join me in supporting my deputy and his co-accused as they also await their overdue vindication. As I have said many times before, this government will continue to support victims to resume normal life and obtain justice. It is our duty as citizens and patriots to make the whole world know that our sovereignty is the collective property of the people and that our own independence is not for sale. My fellow Kenyans, we are also reminded at this time of the debt of gratitude we owe the people of Africa. In our times of need, our brothers and sisters, individually and under the African Union, reached out to us and held our hand as we walked through our troubles. From the struggle against colonialism to our current challenges, Africa has been true to us, and we will keep faith in Africa. Let us celebrate African brotherhood and solidarity by embracing a strong Pan-African spirit aimed at ultimately consolidating African integration into a multinational federation in our time. Every African is our brother and sister, and we must treat them as such. Fellow Kenyans, many are our achievements and challenges, our victories and unfinished battles. We have not wasted our independence. We have not betrayed our freedom fighters or deceived our founding leaders. But we are far from concluding the struggle. In fact, the struggle in our generation is at its most decisive point, when we must stand strong and fight boldly with no thoughts of surrender. My government is committed to fulfilling every pledge it made to the people of Kenya. Against daunting challenges, we are making encouraging progress. I am confident that when the time comes, you will be satisfied with our efforts. Under my government, expect Kenyans to be healthier, smarter, busier, more connected, and more competitive. This is the direction of our efforts and the logical outcome of our commitment. It is a promise we are working to redeem. We continue to draw hope from the knowledge that as one people, we are equal to any challenge confronting us. Our unity and love for one another, as well as our devotion to this land, is ultimately the source of our greatest strength. I see more and bigger success for us as a nation if we remain as robust as our rugby players and as persistent as our marathon runners. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we must stay united. We must remain open, tolerant, warm, and hospitable. We must also stay focused and committed to building a stronger nation. If we give in to fear, suspicion, division, and conflict, we will have surrendered to the enemy. So, fellow Kenyans, let us stay strong. Let us boldly confront our enemies within and outside our country. We must resist manipulation and exploitation just as much as we reject poverty, illiteracy, sickness, hunger, corruption, and insecurity. Let us rededicate ourselves to the struggle to crown our independence with prosperity and happiness. We will only do this by persistently waging war on all our problems without flinching. And as your president, you know that I will not hesitate or blink in the face of any difficulty. I draw my strength from your courage, determination, and abilities as a people. And I know that together we will win. Do not stop and do not waver. Do not turn back and do not flinch. Today, therefore, I call on each one of us to play our part to make Kenya even greater. Let us work with all our might to build this nation. If you are a farmer, till the land as though only you can save your fellow Kenyan from hunger, because that is indeed true. If you are a teacher, guide your pupils as though the destiny of every young Kenyan is in your hands, because indeed it is. If you are a medic, treat your patients like our men and women in uniform protect our communities, as though every Kenyan life depends on you, because indeed it does. Whatever you do, know that it is integral to the national agenda and that your fellow citizens need you. Let us appreciate the power of the individual to effect real change. every one of us plays a part in shaping our collective destiny. Do not be the one who did nothing. Each should project their individual efforts towards the national good, and that is what we have seen happening in Kibera. Recognize the impact of your own work and the significance of your contribution to nation building. It is only us, you and me, who will drive this country we love to its destiny. Tujenge nchi yetu pamoja. Nikimalizia wenzangu, kwa sababu nimesema mengi na masaa yameenda na watu wamechoka, mimi nataka kushukuru wa Kenya. Na nihimize tu mambo mawili. Ya kwanza, tujue ya kwamba usalama ni jukumu letu sisi zote kama Wakenya. Na kwa mambo ya usalama, yastahili sisi kama Wakenya tushikane na tushirikiane pamoja. Sitaki ni wadanganye Wakenya wenzangu ya kwamba hatuna adui. Tuko na adui kati yetu. Adui ambaye anaishi katika mipaka yetu, lakini ukweli wa mambo ni ya kwamba adui huyo ako pia ndani yetu sisi kama Wakenya. Anaishi pamoja nasi ndani yetu. Na ndipo naendelea kila siku kuhimiza ya kwamba kila Mkenya pahali popote alipo ajue ya kwamba ikija kupigana vita ya adui lazima tuwe kitu kimoja. Nataka nisi hasa viongozi wenzangu, tukiwa twaja kujadilia mambo ya usalama, tuweke siasa kando. Usalama ni wa kila Mkenya, awe ni wa Jubilee, awe ni wa CORD, awe hana chama. Usalama ni wa kila Mkenya, the entire 40 million of us. Na tukija kuwa tunajadiliana mambo ya usalama, hakuna haja ya kuingiza siasa. Tujadiliane kwa njia ya heshima. Kama uko na maoni, hiyo ndiyo kazi ya bunge. Sheria imewekwa mbele ya bunge. Hakuna mtu amekulazimisha uikule. Toa maoni yako kwa bunge, maoni ambayo unafikiri itaweza kutusaidia kuimarisha usalama. Lakini mkienda sasa iwe ni vita ya kuvutana huko, wananchi wanaona ukipigana juu ya usalama, watajiuliza jameni, hii ni viongozi wa aina gani? Kama unasema kuna shida katika sheria ambayo iko hapo mbele, nena kwa utulivu, kwa heshima, sema maoni yako, wengine watakusikia. Sisi jana, kama ni ile kamati ya CIC ambayo inasimamia katiba, walikuja kuniona na wakaniambia ya kwamba ndio sisi tunaona kuna shida hapa na hapa na hapa. Na nikasema kama kuna shida kama hiyo, basi tuende turekebishe pamoja, because we are listening. Lakini hii ingine ni utoto na ni ujinga, na hivyo ndivyo adui wetu anafurahia, akiona tukipigana sisi wenyewe kwa wenyewe. Jameni, tuheshimiane. Kama uko na maono, let us say it in a civilized manner. No voice is gagged. Tukiwa tumeweka hapo sheria ya kusema ni mbaya kuweka picture ya watu wetu ambao wameuliwa na majangili na unaweka picture hiyo kwa front page, kuna haja ya kufikiria juu ya jamii. Hizo picture ndizo magaidi wanaendelea kutumia kusema mambo yale wanasema huko, kusema unaona vile tumefaulu, tumeua hawa watu. Tumekufunga mdomo wapi? Mimi ukitaka kunitukana, andika yako, nimewaambia mimi sina haja. Unaweza kusema yale yote ambayo unataka kusema, hiyo haihusu usalama. Mimi nakumbuka mwaka uliopita wakati tulipigwa kule Westgate, nikiwa nimeenda hospitali kuona wengine ambao walikuwa wameumia, Mama mmoja alikuwa analia kuuliza ni kwa njia gani gazeti ya Nation inaweza kubandika picture ya mamake ambaye alikuwa amefariki. Akauliza watoto wataona namna gani? Hii ni ubinadamu. Mimi nikaenda nikawauliza, jameni, mumefanya hii kwa nini? Wakasema hiyo haiwezi kurudiwa tena. Angalia jameni, juzi tena wamejibandika tena, wamezijaza kwa magazeti watu ambao wameuliwa kule. Hatuwezi kuruhusu mambo kama haya. Hatuwezi kukubali. Na kama hatuwezi, kama mtu hawezi kuchukua binu mwenyewe, then the law must be there to prevent you from doing that. Why do you want to cause suffering and pain to your people and give celebration to your enemy? Which country does that? No. Hiyo sio uhaki. Na ndipo tumesema tunataka hiyo sheria. Bunge ikitaka kutupa, shauri yao watupe. Lakini sisi tumeiweka hapa. Sisi tumesema ya kwamba ukiwa wewe ni ofisa wa usalama na umebeba silaha kulinda mwenzako, alafu utumie hiyo silaha kwenda kuumiza mwananchi au kupatia mtu silaha yako iende uumize mwananchi, wewe kama ofisa wa usalama ambao umepatiana hiyo silaha lazima ufungwe maisha, kwa sababu umeapa ya kwamba wewe ndio utalinda wa Kenya. Sasa yawezekanaje iwe ya kwamba umeapa kulinda wa Kenya alafu silaha yako ndio inatumiwa? Tumesema ya kwamba wale wote ambao wako na silaha ambazo sizo za halali, ukishikwa naye uchukuliwe hatua kali. Jameni, shida iko wapi tukisema hivyo? Ndio watu waseme tumefanya hivi au vile vingine. Jameni, chunguzeni yale ambaye yako. Kama kuna mengine hamtaki, si mtatoa. Kama kuna mengine ambaye itatusaidia kuhakikisha usalama wa Wakenya, muache tupitishe ndio tuweze kuendelea mbele. Tuache aibu ya kupigana na kujiaibisha sisi kama viongozi. Anyway, siku ya leo sio ya mengi, tuko na wageni, na nataka nishukuru Wakenya wote, niwaambie ya kwamba pamoja mimi sina shaka tutafaulu, pamoja tukishirikiana sina shaka tutashinda na tutaweka taifa letu pamoja. Nimalizie kwa kuchukua nafasi hii kuwatakia kila Mkenya mahali popote alipo sikukuu njema ya Krismasi. Niwaulize wananchi wetu, wakati sasa tuelekea likizo, tujue ya kwamba lazima tufuate sheria, tusijienjoy zaidi tuende tuharibu. Tuhakikishe ya kwamba madereva wetu mchunge maisha ya mabiria ambao mtakuwa mkipeleka manyumbani, na muhakikishe ya kwamba watu wetu wote wako na usalama. Kwa hayo machache na mengi, mimi nasema Mungu awabariki, Mungu awalinde na aendelee kulinda taifa letu la Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Sote tusimame kwa wimbo wa taifa.
Wakati Mheshimiwa Rais anaondoka uwanjani, nitaomba kwa heshima zote tubaki tumesimama pahali tulipo, tukubalie misafara ya Mheshimiwa Rais na wageni tulio nao kuondoka uwanjani. Utaratibu tutakaofuata, tutaanza na msafara wa Mheshimiwa Jamhuri ya Kenya, ufuatwe na msafara wa Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Uganda, ufuatwe na msafara wa Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Uganda. Ufuatwe na msafara wa Vice President wa Southern Sudan, ufuatwe na msafara wa Vice President.
Na mtazamaji, Rais Uhuru Kenyatta amekwisha kulihutubia taifa na amechukua karibu nusu saa kwa lugha ya Kiingereza, lakini uliona wakati anazungumza kwa lugha ya Kiswahili ndo alionekana kupandwa na hamaki, jazba na kauli ambazo kwamba Wakenya walikuwa wanasubiri zikajitokeza. Swala zima la usalama amelizungumza kwa kina na amerejelea kauli yake ile ile kwamba usalama wa taifa ni wangu mimi na ni wako wewe na ni wa kila Mkenya kuwajibika, na haswa vyombo vya habari, akiurejelea ule mswada ambao unajadiliwa kuhusiana na mabadiliko katika swala zima la usalama, na vikaangaziwa vyombo vya habari ikiwepo faini ya shilingi milioni 5 kwa uchapishaji wa picha ambazo sizo. Hapo katika swala zima la usalama ameangazia maafisa wa polisi ambao pia nao watakwenda kinyume cha sheria za kikazi na kutofuata maadili, basi wataweza kufungwa. Rais pia alizungumzia swala zima la mahakama ya jinai ya kimataifa kule The Hague, na akasema kwamba anaiona mahakama hiyo kama kikwazo cha uwiano, tangamano na umoja nchini, na akamwombea naibu wake William Ruto na mwanahabari Joshua Sang kwamba kesi zao pia zisambaratike namna yake ilivyosambaratika. Hapo kwenye swala la usalama, rais amesema kwamba ugaidi si tishio tu kwa Kenya, lakini bara la Afrika na ulimwengu kwa jumla, na kwa kuwa Kenya tunapakana na Somalia, hali hiyo imechangia pakubwa sana kuwepo kwa ushambulizi nchini. Lakini mswada ambao kwamba unajadiliwa, mswada wa usalama, utarahisisha swala hilo. Jinsi ambavyo Wakenya walitarajia aangazie sekta mbalimbali za maisha, maana tangu mwaka 1963 hadi leo vita vilikuwa ni njaa, umaskini na maradhi. Ameongezea kwamba huo ujinga, kutojua kusoma na kuandika, lakini ufisadi na usalama atapambana nao. Amegusia swala la ufisadi, jinsi ambavyo Wakenya wengi walitarajia, na ili kuamua uchumi wa taifa hili, rais amezungumzia swala zima la kilimo, kwamba pembejeo za kilimo zitakuwepo kwa bei nafuu, na akasema kwamba nguvu za umeme haswa nishati zitakuwepo kwa 30% kupungua na megawati kama 5,000 mwakani, kurahisisha hali ya viwanda. Na pia akazungumzia kilimo na kufanikiwa kwa ugatuzi kwa maana ya devolution. Ni kionjo tu mtazamaji cha hali ilivyokuwa. Mie Hassan Mwana Ali nikizidi kutakia mkono wa sikukuu ya Jamhuri, na wenzangu hapa Ali Manzo upande ule wa pili, angalau mawili matatu kabla ya kuhitimisha shughuli za leo. Ali Manzo, chukua usukani.
Asante sana Ali Hassan, somo yangu huyo akiwa upande wa pili katika lile gari ambalo linasaidia kupeperusha matangazo haya kwa njia moja kwa moja. Niko nje kidogo karibu na uwanja, sehemu ambayo ilikuwa ikiendelea na shughuli hizi za ambazo sasa zimeingia tamati yake mapema mchana huu, wala ikiwa ni saa 9 na dakika 10 mtazamaji, saa za Afrika Mashariki. Mengi yamezungumzwa kama alivyoelezea somo Ali Hassan pale, lakini cha kutilia msingi tu ni kuangazia kule tulikotoka miaka 51 hadi sasa. Kuna mengi zaidi ambayo serikali bado inaendelea katika ile hali ya kuhakikishia mwananchi wa Kenya anapata maisha kwa kiwango ambacho kinachostahili. Amezungumzia swala moja ambalo ni la msingi zaidi. Nakumbuka katika sikukuu za mwaka uliopita pia alisema kuna mradi ambao umeanza kule katika maeneo ya Galana, ni wa unyunyizaji. Ni mradi ambao utakaosaidia zaidi katika kupata ile hifadhi ya kutosha ya chakula sehemu hii ya Kenya, na pia katika sehemu hii ya kanda Afrika Mashariki na Afrika kwa ujumla. Ni mojawapo wa miradi ambayo serikali hii imekuwa ikifuatilia kwa undani zaidi. Vile vile unakumbuka pia mwaka jana, baada ya kuanzisha mradi mpya ule ambao ulikuwa unahakikishia kwamba kina mama na watoto wanapokea matibabu bila malipo yoyote. Hii pia ni katika serikali ya Jubilee imetilia mkazo na kusema kwamba wataendelea nayo hivi sasa. Ni kuangalia tu baadhi ya mambo tulipofikia kutoka miaka 51 iliyopita. Uimarikaji pia wa vyuo vikuu, hivi sasa tuko na vyuo vikuu 39, na vile vile wanasema kwamba wataendelea kuimarisha swala la elimu, na vile vile hakika ambapo swala lingine la msingi sana kwa mwananchi ni ile mfumko wa bei za bidhaa na jitihada ambazo wameweka na sera ambazo wameweka katika kipindi kijacho. Wanasema kwamba ni katika hali ya kuwapunguzia wananchi, ikiwemo vigezo mbalimbali ambavyo vimewekwa kupunguza masala kama vile kawi ya kitaifa, hasa baada ya kuongezeka kwa kawi kwa asilimia fulani ambao walikuwa wameitaja pale. Vile vile upande wa miundo misingi, kwa mfano ujenzi wa maeneo ya kuogesha bandari kule, maeneo ya kuegesha meli, kwa mfano katika bandari ile mpya ya Lamu kule, na ujenzi wa kilomita milioni 1 kama sijakosea, na kilomita 10,000 kumradhi ya barabara. Haya ni baadhi ya mambo ambayo pia anasema serikali ya Jubilee inaendelea. Swala la usalama nadhani mwenzangu ameliongezea kwa undani zaidi, lakini cha msingi ni kwamba Wakenya wote kwanza wanatakana wawe makini, wao wenyewe wajiangalie pale wanapoishi na kina nani, na iwapo wanapata tashwishi yoyote basi inakuwa wepesi wa kuwajulisha mamlaka husika, ili angalau kuangazia kwamba swala hili linakuwa ni la kutoka upande wote kabisa. Ukipeana taarifa basi inakuwa ni rahisi sana kuondoa vitishio ambazo vitu viko karibu nasi, hususan katika maeneo ya mitaani na majumbani. Mtazamaji, hivi sasa ni viongozi ndio wanaondoka polepole mmoja baada ya mwingine, ambao viongozi wakuu kutoka serikali, kwa mfano ya Rwanda kule alikuwa hapa, rais pia wa Uganda Yoweri Kaguta Museveni alitoa hotuba yake moja kali zaidi ambayo ilikuwa inahusiana na swala la mahakama ya ICC ambalo pia mwenzangu amelizungumzia. Kutoka kwangu sina la ziada, kwa niaba ya wenzangu ambao wamefanikisha, mafundi wa mitambo wenye kutupiga picha hizi ambazo zinakujia kwa njia moja kwa moja hadi sehemu ya nyumbani. Tarudi baadaye kidogo tu kwenye taarifa zetu kwa lugha ya Kiingereza, ambapo pia mwanahabari mwenzangu Samo Gina atakuwa ni mwenye kukuarifu na kile ambacho kilichokuwa kikiendelea katika sehemu hii. Kutoka kwangu sina la ziada. Asante sana kwa kutupa fursa na wakati wako kutazama taarifa hizi kwa njia ya moja kwa moja. Mimi naitwa Ali Manzu, popote ulipo basi na kutakia mchana mwema. Kwaheri.